Hi, everyone, again. It's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Jessica Pancholi. Jessica obtained her PhD in organic supramolecular chemistry from Queen Mary University in London in 2015. This was followed by postdoctoral research at University College London and University of Oxford with projects in medicinal and supramolecular chemistry. She started her editorial career at Elsevier in 2021 as scientific editor on the Tetrahedron Organic Chemistry Journal series and joined Cell Press in 2023 as editor-in-chief in Trends in Chemistry. Today, Jessica will present Catalyst of Change, an editor's view on the next era of chemistry. Jessica, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Randy. Thanks for the kind introduction. I'm really grateful to the Reaxys team for giving me a slot to speak to you all today. I know for so many of you, publishing your work and reading other peer-reviewed work is really vital to advancing your research, but it can be a little bit of a mystery sometimes as to what us editors are doing behind the desks and what we're actually thinking. So I hope today I can give you a little bit of an insight into what Cell Press editors are thinking about, what we're reading, and what we're looking for at our journals, and what topics we think will be defining the future of great chemistry research. So to kick things off, we'll start with a little bit about Cell Press. So from 1974 to having just now celebrated our 50th anniversary, Cell Press is still making sure that we're putting science first. We have over 50 journals in our portfolio across the sciences, so we're an all science publisher. And we have over 150 full-time PhD level scientific editors across the globe. So that's quite a lot. We strive for every paper at Cell Press to be inspiring and world-leading, so it's always really great to see our papers at the frontiers of research, from things like winning Nobel Prizes, to also helping to shape the direction of really vital public health initiatives like we saw with the recent pandemic. But as science progresses even faster than ever before, how can we, or even anyone, know what's coming next? It's quite a big question to answer, I think, but we're really going to try. So, of course, like, scientists dictate the future of chemistry and where research is heading, but it is our job as editors to keep up. Chemistry has long been considered to be the central science. I know there's quite a lot of debate around that one, but I believe it to be true, and I hope you guys do too. Research projects are, becoming more and more interdisciplinary, and being able to pinpoint specific topics of importance can actually be a real challenge when it comes to a field this big. I'm sure that you will have and you will hear from many research and industry leaders on their ideas on this topic today. But from my end, I've discussed it with the chemistry editors at Cell Press, and I'm going to talk to you today about 4 different topics that we're seeing an increase in our journals and that we think will be defining the impact chemistry has on research and society in the next few years. So we'll start with our flagship journal, Chem. Vyacheslav is the editor-in-chief of Chem, and his background is in synthetic organic chemistry mixed with some chem bio, and he's been with the journal for nearly 10 years, so he's got a lot of experience. As you can see, the editorial team at Chem are looking for specifically exceptional advances in chemistry that can help tackle some of the big challenges of the 21st century. Each paper has a bigger picture box, so this could explain in layman's terms the significance of the research that's being published. And where possible, every paper links to one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, so the SDGs. Many of you will know these and be very familiar with them. The SDGs are really useful to us in particular as editors, as we know that so many of you are working towards these important goals with your work, and it really helps us as editors to assess whether the body of work that's been submitted is impactful at the highest level possible and has the possibility to change the future. So when we asked Vyacheslav what he thought would be one of the most prominent topics in the immediate future, he chose sustainable plastics chemistry pretty much straight away. I'm sure this will be no surprise to many of you. Plastic materials have had a rapid revolution over the last few decades, and it's really clear that this revolution has been both positive and negative. By 2050, an estimated almost, over probably 20 billion tons of plastic is going to be in landfill, polluting the environment, and contributing to really high carbon emissions. With their complex compositions, often, really complicated mixtures of polymers, and also throwing some additives into the mix as well, existing recycling strategies and technologies can be really limited. They can cost quite a lot of money and also not always be as reliable for every piece of plastic. Chemistry can be the central science here in everyone's efforts to mitigating the environmental impact that plastics can have, as well as working really hard to deliver solutions to ensure that the plastics that we do produce in the future can still retain their useful properties. So whilst this is a broad problem, there are many approaches that chemists are taking to tackle this problem head on. Many researchers have been inspired by the 12 principles of green chemistry that you can see on the right of this slide here. These principles were created by Paul Anastas and John Warner as a checklist of ways to reduce both the environmental impact and the potential negative health impacts of effects of chemicals and chemical synthesis. So the approaches that people are starting to take now, taking these 12 principles of green chemistry on board, includes, in particular, the synthesis of new sustainable plastics. So, for example, incorporating bio-based or natural polymers into the material, reusing waste molecules to make and design these new materials, or even utilizing non-carbon-based monomers, which I think ultimately looks like it's going to be the end goal here. Designing usable, durable, but degradable plastic materials is also a really big ideal. Being able to control the degradation is a big area of research too. So being able to utilize this methodology to reduce the use of hazardous chemicals in the degradation process, and also being able to ensure that you can capture all the valuable degradation products is absolutely key to this. And also other research in this area includes improving the chemical recycling methods that we have available to us right now. So new technologies, closed loop processes, and also working to make these processes less energy intensive is a big goal. A recent example, a great example, has been published in Chem recently from the Wu and Han laboratories at East China Normal University. So the group reported a new affordable method of converting polyethylene into gasoline using a dual catalyst system. So this is a pretty new system. So tungsten zirconium KIT6 as a mesoporous material is used for hydride abstraction and pre-cracking of this polyethylene, and the zeolite catalyst HZSM5 is then used for the subsequent cracking, isomerization, and hydride transfer to produce various C4 to C12 alkanes. With yields of up to 87% of gasoline range products, this is a really efficient catalytic method to upcycle plastic waste into valuable products. The authors systematically studied this reaction mechanism, the catalytic environments for both catalysts, and also the shape selective cracking from the zeolite to demonstrate that these actually have a big utility at much lower temperatures than previously reported methods such as zeolite catalytic systems that exist already, or hydrogenolysis on metal sites. And they also utilize a wide variety of characterization methods to show us exactly how this is done. Sustainable and circular chemistry, much like this work, is a really big theme that we're investing in actually at Cell Press. So I'm going to talk to you again about this a little bit later on and just show you some of the things that we're interested in alongside sustainable plastics chemistry. Leading on really nicely from this work, we're actually looking to the future of catalysis more generally. So Chem Catalysis is our catalysis-focused spin-off journal, and it's looking to the future of all sub-areas of catalysis. It's headed up by Kat Stefan as the EIC. Kat's research background is in physical chemistry and electrochemistry, and she's previously also worked as deputy editor at Joule, our energy research journal. So she also has a really wide range of experience in the catalysis field. Research published at Chem Catalysis aims to showcase the latest advances in and expansions in knowledge of various catalytic systems, methods, tools, and technologies. So we've got quite a broad field to play with here. Talking to Kat and the Chem Catalysis editorial team as a whole, it's really clear from speaking to them that the field is actually making a big move towards focusing on applications when developing catalysts and catalytic systems. Now, this might sound very simple, but actually it's something that people are making much more of a move towards specifically in recent times. Developing catalysts with specific applications in mind can really help to create more efficient, selective, sustainable solutions by combining a better understanding of how these catalysts work with practical needs. Makes it easier to bring new, innovative catalysts from the lab into real-world use, which ultimately is the end goal for all of our research. This fosters more interdisciplinary innovation, and it can ensure industrial relevance too by making sure that there's scalability and robustness in all the processes. And this bridges between our fundamental understanding of catalysis and having practical impact in the real world. Research that is application-driven can have wide impact on things like fuels, batteries, pollution control, and even manufacturing, just to name a few things. And tackling these is a major driving force behind this shift to application-based catalysis. So a great example that has been published in Chemcatalysis recently comes from John Xu and colleagues at Purdue University in the US. So polymer electrolyte membrane fuel cells are a really promising power source for heavy-duty vehicles. They're an efficient and powerful type of fuel cell, which is ideal for these types of conditions. However, the durability of their membrane electrode assemblies under heavy-duty vehicle conditions remains a huge challenge. And combined with the high production costs and the lack of hydrogen refueling stations, this limits the widespread commercialization of these fuel cells in vehicles more generally. So this is really something to investigate as an application of catalysis. The authors of this work actually in this study conducted a really comprehensive investigation into the long-term durability of the membrane electrode assemblies of these fuel cells under heavy-duty vehicle conditions using two very typical platinum catalysts for this role. They found that platinum catalyst breakdown and membrane degradation specifically occur in these heavy-duty vehicle conditions, which highlights the key stages of catalyst wear and also the big challenges that are needed to tackle to help extend the performance of these fuel cells. This durability study and the understanding gained from it can really help with developing sort of, really stable membrane electrode assemblies and going further, really stable, durable fuel cells for a wide range of uses, such as energy conversion and storage, hydrogen production, and also other applications by helping scientists to guide key design parameters and also catalyst construction too. So you can see why having these application-driven studies can really drive vital innovations in the field. And this is something in particular that we think we're going to see more of in the future. So applications of chemistry will continue to be a big theme with the predictions I'm going to talk to you about here. As mentioned by Randy in the super kind introduction, I'm the lead editor of Trends in Chemistry. And my background is in organic supramolecular chemistry with a little bit of medchem experience too. And Trends in Chemistry is a bit of a different journal to the other two in that it's a reviews only journal. So the readership is really broad and we like to cover a very wide spectrum of the field at the journal. With a name like Trends in Chemistry, you can see that I need to keep up to date with everything that's going on in the field. And I have the really exciting job of being able to commission short educational primers on the hot topics of the day from the leading researchers, which is, a really exciting opportunity. And while I want to ensure that I cover the field in the broadest sense when I commission, there are definitely some topics that I see more of when I'm talking to scientists at conferences or even in sort of pre-submission proposals that are sent to me in my inbox. And one of those, particularly from a multidisciplinary standpoint, is biophysical chemistry. Being able to obtain a deeper understanding of the chemistry of biological molecules, their complex interactions in biological systems has long been of interest, but recent advances in technology and chemistry is really pushing this to the forefront now. Being able to study enzyme kinetics, protein interactions, even pushing into kind of origins of life territory with some of these molecules can really have wide-ranging implications in things like drug discovery, understanding disease, biomacromolecule dynamics, and even protein engineering, just to name a few. Many in the field are working to develop new and improved spectroscopy and imaging techniques to help collect more accurate data, and also implementing reliable modeling and simulations for investigations into really important biological processes. And as you can see from this picture here on the left, we've even featured this topic on our journal cover recently, which was super exciting. And that cover image highlighted a mini review from Juan Wang and co-workers at Peking University. So imaging of biomacromolecules in a liquid environment is a big, long-standing challenge in biophysical chemistry, because you have to consider all the dynamic processes, the bonding forces, and also the massive conformational changes that can occur in a medium such as liquid. An emerging method to tackle this issue is liquid phase electron microscopy, which allows the resolution of atomic structures and millisecond dynamics of nanoparticles and their assembly and solution with an electron microscope. So the review here highlighted recent progress that's being made in this area, how scientists are working to quantify these conformational changes using this emerging technique, and also how combining the imaging data with deep learning algorithms can also help reveal new dynamics and intermediate states of these proteins and nucleic acid assemblies. The authors also predicted this method could be even more powerful when combined with existing approaches in spectroscopy. More articles recently have covered items such as site-selective modification of proteins, even fluorescent super-resolution imaging of cellular membranes. Both of these highlight chemical techniques that explore vital biological processes, and this could help scientists elucidate some of the big mysteries of the cell and also of biomolecules. One topic in particular that all of our editors highlighted, going all the way back to the beginning when we were talking about plastic sustainable chemistry, something that we're really investing in at Cell Press is circular chemistry. So this builds on the circular economy model and the principles that are presented here in this diagram on the right. And this is not only academically interesting, but it's also being adopted by industry and businesses worldwide. With political entities and think tanks, a circular economy with a focus on the chemical sector is particularly high on the agenda, considering the big impacts that the chemical sector has on the economy of many countries worldwide. Circular chemistry aims to foster sustainable closed-loop processes with a focus on reuse and recycling of materials, and also working to extend the life cycle of chemicals and materials that are in the system right now. Even the big four industry investors seem to be on board with this idea. So as Deloitte, KPMG, PwC, and even EY are all promoting circular transformation in their industry outlook reports. At Trends in Chemistry in particular, we very recently published an opinion piece, and I'm talking last week, so this is very, very new, from thought leaders in the UK on why and how governments should and can adopt a circular chemical economy. In particular, discussing the promotion of carbon capture and utilization over carbon capture and storage, which is the current sort of way of thinking, and also discussing this alongside the benefits of investing in things like non-fossil carbon sources, which we're going to need in the future. Integration of circular chemistry into lab processes, industry, and policy is something we as editors are seeing is on the rise, and also something we want to see more of in our journals. In fact, later this year, our editors will be hosting a Cell Symposium on chemical solutions for a sustainable plastics future, where many leaders in the area will be talking about how they're tackling one of the big challenges of our time. If you guys are interested, we'd love for you to join us. And of course, alongside our chemistry coverage, we also have so many environmental science journals that cover this kind of topic in a very broad sense, including the flagship title One Earth and Cell Report Sustainability. But later this year, we'll also be launching a new journal on circular chemistry. This is us really investing into this topic. The main focus of the new journal will be to cover the full landscape of chemical practices and products, and helping chemists and sustainability scientists move towards a more environmentally conscious and ethically responsible future, something we're already seeing more and more of in papers that are being published worldwide. Of course, our physical science portfolio covers all aspects of chemistry that any of you may be interested in, from fundamental to applied, materials, energy, data, and even biomaterials. Our Cell Press Chemistry Hub is our home that we update monthly with our curated editorial picks of research articles, reviews, and perspectives. So you can keep up to date with what all of our editors think are driving the field and really pushing the boundaries of chemistry. All of our chemistry journals are working really hard to support scientists across academia and industry, share their studies and their viewpoints on the future of chemistry. So if you have an idea that you want to share with us, you are more than welcome to, and we would love to hear from you. You can find all the details for all of our chemistry journals at our chemistry hub, including links to our contact pages. And finally, if you want to know how well our editors' picks align with Reaxys' vision, make sure to catch Abhinav's talk later in the session. He'll be discussing the future from Reaxys' side. Reaxys also has a tool that you can use to investigate these trends that we've talked about today from our point of view, where you can search for your topic of interest, for example, sustainable plastics, and set up alerts to receive notifications. You'll be hearing more about this later on. So with that, I'm going to say thank you so much for all of you for listening and for being interested in what us editors think will be the future of chemistry. And at this point, I'll be more than happy to take any questions. Thank you so much.
That's good. Thank you for the wonderful talk. I really do appreciate your perspective on the industry and this subject. We do have several questions for you.
Great.
The first is, looking at application-driven catalysts, which application do you think holds the most importance at this time?
So as I said before, I think that trying to pinpoint one specific thing is a very hard thing to do. So many of the applications that I'd mentioned, things like fuels and batteries and manufacturing, they all are very equally important, I think, for many things that we have going on in society today. So it's really hard to choose one. But I think if I had to, I would say that there's, thinking about the sort of plastics recycling, the circular chemistry angle overall, I think any new innovations in catalysis that can work towards, better recycling of plastics or materials, or towards any kind of efficient limited waste synthesis of new materials that we can use in the same setting, considering things like durability, how easily they degrade, things like that. All of these will be really interesting discoveries to see, I think, in the world, and particularly considering how pressing the climate process, the climate change process is at the moment for all of us. I think that it's something that we really want to see more of, and more efficient, useful methods of, for certain. So I'll put my money on that one for now, but that's not to say I don't care about all of the others.
It's always tough to choose between your children, and I appreciate that. Appreciate that response. Another question: how do you, as an editor, stay up to date with all the latest trends?
That's also a really hard one, but so as I mentioned, all of the editors at Zell Press are all PhD level. We've all got a research background, and in the exact same way that researchers do now and that we did when we were researchers is exactly how we still keep up to date with the field. As much as we, read the papers that come into our journals and things like that, we're still interested in what's happening in chemistry at large, and we need to keep up to date with it ourselves. So, we use things like feed readers, newsletters. We subscribe to, relevant industry and academia newsletters, magazines like sort of the publishing house magazines. Social media is a really big one. We build our networks, and we meet so many people. Connecting with them on social media and places like LinkedIn enables us to stay up to date with what they're doing, and invest in what other scientists are doing. Also, we have so many tools here at Elsevier that we can use as well. So Scopus and Reaxys in particular to, investigate new reaction procedures and things like that we've seen. We use the exact same tools as well to evaluate how novel or exciting we think work is that has been submitted to us. So, we use all of that sort of in conjunction to try and keep up to date with how things are going, and also just discussing with our fellow editors too. Like, it's always really fun to talk with other people, the other chemistry editors, about things they've seen that are cool, works that they like and that they're interested in too. So it's really good to stay informed.
Your perspective. More questions for you. This one is, are review articles solicited by Cell editors, or can readers submit articles? How are the topics selected, and can this process be more transparent?
So in terms of, I can't speak for every journal. So for the chemistry journals that we have as a whole, my journal in particular, Trends in Chemistry, as I mentioned, is mostly commissioned by the editor, but we do have space for people to propose articles. So on every journal website, actually, not just Trends in Chemistry, but also at Chem and Chem Catalysis, the editors would love to hear from you if you have a proposal for an article. We love discussing science with you. We also want to hear more about what you're interested in writing about, particularly in terms of reviews. We have a pipeline that often extends quite far ahead. You know, if we've been commissioning, we're looking to other people as well to suggest topics for us. So we want to make sure that there's no overlap with things that we're already publishing or that things that we have published very recently. So that's often a good marker to see what kind of topics that we're keen on, is if you notice there's a gap in something that you haven't seen, we'd love to hear from you on it. So yeah, there's a pre-submission page at Trends in Chemistry at the journal website, so you can get in touch there. Or as I mentioned on the Chemistry Hub, you can find all the details for all the editors. Send us an email with your proposals. We love to hear from you, and we'd love to discuss your ideas further.
Question for you. Does cell press belong to Elsevier?
But belong to is a big word. So Elsevier is the umbrella company, if that makes sense. So CellPress is a part of Elsevier. We existed sort of separately for quite a while, and then the two companies sort of merged together. So CellPress is a part of Elsevier. We also follow, you know, quite a lot of Elsevier guidance, best practices when it comes to editors and editing journals. And we also connect quite well with the Elsevier journals too. But CellPress publishes its own journals. We have, like I said, we've had a 50-year long established brand of our own journals. So yeah, it's a complicated situation, but actually CellPress is a part of Elsevier. Yes.
Again, Jessica, wonderful presentation. I appreciate you taking the time to answer all of these questions.
Thank you so much for having me.
To our attendees, we'll be starting our next set of presentations here shortly. Again, if you have a chance, please answer the short survey. Thank you so much.
Thank you.